Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Obviously, you know it's Wednesday evening. You got In Touch with the Miller Boys, the weekly talk show where we discuss all things impacting us, people who look like, think like, talk like, do everything like us. Trying to share right now. So what's going on, Mr. G?
Oh, life is very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Please elaborate.
Please elaborate.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, I think that, Michael was down this weekend. We spent some time together talking. He had some interesting questions that he wanted, to go back and forth. And he kind of got into the understanding with me about what you always are talking about, the different millennials and the disciples and the difference in the generations, and he was asking me for clarification. He's a psychology degree, and I'm not a psychologist, but I did stay in a Holiday Inn last night. But it's just we just had a very interesting conversation between all of us. And what I see, and then I watched the debate tonight. The world is changing, and people don't want to accept the change that's coming. So I'm just, my thing is just hold on, because sooner or later you're gonna get the chance to express yourself.
That's true. I agree with you 200%. The world is changing. And as I keep saying this to people, I know I sound like a broken record, but for the first time in the past 80 years, there are now more Americans under the age of 40 than above the age of 40. And I just think that for me, that is significant because things are going to change. Whether I'm not saying it's a good or a bad or positive or negative, but when you have that type of number of people that's coming forward, there's going to be a certain level of change, a certain amount of change that comes along with them. And you just hope and pray that they are prepared. That younger group, that under 40 group is prepared. We've done enough in our generations. We've prepared them enough to be able to lead our country and our churches and our schools and law enforcement and all those areas in the right direction. So
well, I think that there's truth in what you're saying. But Michael's 22 years old, and it was interesting to hear the perspective of the younger one, his perspective, because they're genuinely concerned, because there's no head of the snake. And like I told him, if you just keep living long enough, these folks that are in charge now are gonna die off. Biden is what, 77, Trump is 72. They run the world. You saw, I don't know how old Lion Pence is, but you saw him get up there, deflect, lie, and do what he has been trained to do. And that's the culture of that generation. As long as they're on the planet in power, that's what we're going to be dealing with as Hispanics, as African Americans, as everybody that are oppressed by those oppressive thoughts that they put forth.
Agreed. So think about it in this perspective, and I 100% agree with you. And some of the other stuff that I've shared with you is from the perspective of the last 30 years. I have spent 6 to 8 hours a day with 14 through 22-year-olds. So even my kids now that are my students, I've got students now that are they're 48, 47, 48 years old. They're adults now, but when I dealt with them when they were in school, they were 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. The stuff I do when I referee, I've been a refereeing now 30 years, but those kids that I referee are still between the ages of 15 and 18. So that age group and that age bracket hasn't changed at all. And so that's where I get a lot of my enthusiasm and my perspective from when I speak positively about that age group, those kids that are under 40, because I do it I'm exposed to them, and I have my question marks in my office. When they come in there and tell me these these things, I can't come down on them. I can't tell them that their dreams and their aspirations aren't attainable. I start to have realistic conversations with them to try to gather perspective as to why they believe what they believe. And I believe that we're going to be in good hands.
I think totally opposite. And the reason I think totally opposite is you take your behind to any drive-through and try to order something. Anything more complicated than the one whole subject, you throw the whole out of whack. People, these youngsters do not and cannot think.
That's not true.
They have been bred, okay? They have been bred to not think, to go along. You try to get them to count you back some money. They can't count. They don't know how to.
You're absolutely correct, because they use computers to be able to do those calculations for them. You're absolutely correct. They don't know how to, there are young people right now that don't know how to write in cursive, don't know how to sign their name in cursive, because they never was taught cursive writing. Right. But they can still function in society because they have keyboards now. Because they have
no. They can function in society because they've only been allowed to rise to a third grade education. So at a third grade education, now they are marked, and I'm just throwing that out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that now they are marked as a commodity, the same as it always has been. It goes back to the understanding that now I can use you as a social token or structure to advance my cause. You know, you go out there and you gangbang and you get shot, you hit the floor, you start generating money for the coroner, for the county, for the police officers, for the detectives, for the courthouses, that's what they are there for.
You're talking about a very, very small piece of society.
I differ. When Fresno had a shooting for the last 2 months every other day, I push back. Like I ask people, what's the largest money-making segment in Fresno County?
Law enforcement, corrections, however you want to describe that. The law enforcement agencies, the arrests, the detain. What is?
Welfare. You got more.
You'd have to show me the statistics on that.
I don't have to show you the statistics. Common sense. If you got 10 people out here on welfare, and the amount of money that they're taking home in welfare, is going to far outlie. There's only 800 police officers here. Let's give you another 400 with the sheriff's department. Let's say 800 because of the jail. So you got 1,600. Let's say 2,000. You got 2,000 law enforcement officers here in Fresno County. You got over 200 people.
$100,000 a year.
So you got over 200,000 people. That's 10 for each one of them.
No, I'm talking. You said it. How many people did you say? How many law enforcement agents did you say? 2,000.
I'll give you 2,000.
So they're making $100,000 a year. That is $20 million. I don't know. My zeros may be off a little bit. How much annual money does a person on welfare make?
I don't know. I haven't been on welfare in a long time.
$20,000, $25,000 a year.
And how many would 10 be?
Say that again.
How many would 10? If you stack 10 on top of each other to neutralize the one,
that would be $250,000. So I understand what you're saying, but when you talk about the economy of it, it doesn't match up.
The economy of it?
How many people? I mean, I don't even know how many people are receiving public assistance. I don't know what those numbers are. But
you think that the law enforcement community here in Fresno makes more money than the people on welfare?
Yes.
Okay.
When you take in their benefit packages and all those type of things, law enforcement agents are probably getting paid about $130,000, $140,000 a year. When you take in their overtime and all that kind of stuff, yeah. I don't believe that people on welfare who are receiving public assistance are making more than about $25,000, $30,000 a year if they're getting it for a whole entire year. So the addition doesn't match up unless I'm really in the dark about how many people are receiving public assistance.
I think you are.
Okay, I'll have to go look that up. I'll have to go find out.
You tell me that you dealt with kids on a regular basis.
Correct.
At your job.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the percentage of them when they went home, parents, worked?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. And when you say work, are they working in career types of jobs? Are they working in gig types of jobs? Are they working multiple jobs? I don't know what that number would be.
Okay, we'll table that. I would like for you to think about that. But my perspective on that subject is that those folks aren't they're setting them up to be the consumers, to get a check, to go to Walmart, to go to Food for Less, and spend their welfare money in a cycle that allows the economy to roll, to work.
So then how? Okay, I hear you. How do you break that cycle?
How do you break the cycle?
I don't agree with what you're saying, but my question is, even if I did agree with you, how do you break that cycle?
You need self-independence, because the cycle is not broken. The cycle
how do you get self-independence?
Well, you're asking me a question because you have an answer. What's your answer?
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. I don't agree with the premise that you're sharing right now. And so I'm trying to just get from your perspective, when you say, what I hear you saying is basically the people that are on public assistance, that are receiving public assistance, are doing so because they want to.
No. They are on public assistance because they don't have any other options, because they have not been taught to do. So I guess it would be through education and self-awareness of education.
Well, education is one of the factors that goes into it. I would agree. But there's a lot of people out there that have education. There's kids who are highly educated who don't have college, that don't have high school diplomas. The high school system, the public education system,
a formal structure of education to understand.
Right. You don't need school for that.
Okay.
School in a utopian environment, as far as I'm concerned, schools should be reinforcing those other types of learning that you've gotten from your parents, from going to church, from your social interactions with other people, being involved in recreation programs and arts and crafts and all those type of things. Schools should be able to enhance those with formalities. We all know how to talk. We all know how to write. We all know how to read. Schools should be the glue, the gorilla glue that puts it all together, that keeps it together, to be able to waver through the storms and stuff. But a person who's illiterate, people always talk about this person can't read, this kid can't read, this kid can't read. And then you go and you have a conversation with a kid and communicate with you orally, great. You give them a book, they can read the words. The boy went to the store. When he was at the store, he bought a soda pop. They can read that, but they can't. What it is they cannot connect those words in those sentences to understand what the overall meaning is or the theme of what it is that they're reading. So people, when they say people can't read, I push back on them all the time. Kids can read, they just can't. They don't understand what they read. And so I think one of the things we're doing in education is we're putting these labels on kids, and then we're damning and dooming them to not being successful. You know, if you tell a kid he's not doing something right all the time, he gets a negative perspective, a negative disposition.
Right, and that negative disposition and that the way of teaching of teaching these kids to have a negative disposition, a low self-esteem, and all of those types of things drives them with the currents of society into the sunken place, into the place where they don't believe in anything but welfare, because that's what they systematically see. That's what I'm coming from. Once again, go to a drive-through and order a Big Mac without cheese, without, you can shake your head all you want.
But dude, that's not a fair depiction of society. That's an encounter, because as many people as you run across that cannot do what you're saying, I can take you to a Wendy's where a person is doing that. So I mean that's I get what you're saying, but that's not a replicable sample size.
That's my reality, and that is my seeing of society. That's how I feel in society.
Okay. Okay. I just, my reality is I see these kids on a regular basis every day, and for the last 30 years in the job I'm doing, and there are those that struggle legitimately, and there are those who don't need school. The structure we have is a hindrance to these kids being prosperous later on in life. And so I'm a big proponent that the educational system that we use in public education, K-12, needs to be revamped, needs to be changed, needs to be overhauled. Who in the hell is still doing things today the way that they did them at the turn of the century in the 1900s? I can't think of anything except for schools. We're still educating students today, K-12, in the same model that we have at the turn of the century.
Well, that tells me that the way that you're looking at the situation is not the proper way to be looking at it, because it's working for people who are funneling money into the educational system, and and like you just said, it's a failing situation, but it's working for those corporate folks.
Correct.
Just like the prison system, it's a failure for us as a society, as an African American society. We look at it as a failure to have to send young African Americans to prison. But the people that have stocks in the prison, the people that sell them soap and shoes and clothing and everything that goes into funding the prison, including the salary structure of the guards and all of that, that's working. That's a perfectly fine system. But you have to have somebody or something to feed through the machine so that on the other side you can take a little bit from it. And that's all I'm saying.
What is the number one predictor for the prison population in the Central Valley?
Living here?
No. That's not true.
I would say that it's the understanding that you grow up in a large school district that don't give a damn about you. You go home to a mom who doesn't know how to be a mother. Your dad has another family across town. These are the social structures, and I believe that like you said, 40% are under or over half or under 40. I think that's the half that is out there allowing these types of structures to benefit that generation, 40 and under. So if you're on top and you're supposed to be educating these people or teaching these people these different structures, and you can't teach them yourself, that's the way they're going to go.
Two things that you just said. The number one indicator for the prison population here in the Central Valley. Now they've gone away from this, but for the better part of 20 of the last 30 years has been third grade reading levels. Okay, so they are tied. The prison system that you're talking about, getting incarcerated, is tied directly to education. The other component is, now there is no data except for observational data, is what I'm also seeing is that young people now under the age of 25 are delaying having kids at a higher rate than our generation. There are more young people, in particular in the African American community now, that are delaying to have kids until after 25 years old. Way different than when we was growing up. So, and that's just like you have your McDonald's window observation. That's my observation of just the kids the young people that I've been engaged in. Very, very, very heavily in the African American community and somewhat in the Latino community. I've come across more and more and more young people who are delaying having children until after the age of 25. I don't know why. I've had an opportunity to have those conversations, but I think that that's something that I would be interested in exploring later on. Why are you delaying? Because that is a new and recent trend. So that takes me.
I'm looking like that because I don't see that trend, but I'm and I was trying to reflect back on my friends who had children early.
When you say early, what is early for you?
You set the bar at 25.
25. How many people do you really know that we grew up with, and you don't have to use their names, how many people do you know that did not have children before 25? Would it be higher, more, or less than 50%? So 5 out of every 10 dudes we knew, or
Okay.
even.
Well, a thing in that also is you would have to take out of the equation the people that were married and got married.
Why? Kids is kids. I didn't say nothing about being a single parent. I said kids. I know young people now that are under the age of 25 who are married who are not having kids. So this has nothing to do with single parenting, having kids out of wedlock. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in general. People who are kids that I'm coming across that are under the age of 25 are delaying, whether they're married or whether they're not married.
I'm sitting here looking and thinking, and I'm gonna have to. I don't see that. And
Okay,
and the reason why I said being married is because if you're under 25 and you're married, marriage is the green light go to have children.
I got you. So that's part of the point I'm making, is that there's a different mindset of the young people now than it was in our generation. That's a 20-year span, 25-year span in there, but there is a different mindset now with not all of them, not all young people under 25, but most people, is more than half, I would be willing to bet, or approaching half, whereas when we were growing up, what was the pregnancy rate here?
I don't know. I didn't have any kids till I was 30 years, till I was 27, 28 years old.
And you were one of them.
And I think you would have to move that 25 down to about 23. But
okay. You didn't answer my question, by the way. How many cats? How many people?
I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't know.
Do you know more than 10
that did not have a child
until after 25?
I would say right about there is when some of them started having kids, but I don't think that this generation that are out here now are not having kids, and there's more of them. I don't see what the point is. I think that's a hope that you're hoping, but I don't.
No, as I shared earlier, that's my observation.
Right.
That's like your observation of McDonald's. That's my observation of young people.
Not just McDonald's, fast food and as a whole.
That's your observation of fast food.
Right.
I got you. This is my observation of young people that I've been working with. And like I said, I haven't had the opportunity to dig into it to find out why, or to have conversations with them. And maybe that'll put, that's one of the other research things I'll do, is put it on my list to do, because we got people inside of our family who are in that situation. They're 25 years old, approaching 25 years old, and don't have kids. Some of them are married. I can think of 2 of them that are married now. And so I'll put that on my list of for later research, having conversations. But it's just that's an observation of mine. But the reason why I share that with such excitement is it's another indicator for me that the next 10 years is going to be way different. And as you said, people don't want to give up their power, don't want to give up their position. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to.
Why
Whether
are they gonna
whether it's taken from them or whether
why
they
are they
get
gonna have to?
because it's either gonna be taken from them or they're gonna relent it or they're gonna die. You just wait them out. You wait 15 years. I'm 25 years old. If I wait another 15, I'll be 40. They're 75. They wait another 15. They're gonna be 90. They ain't doing nothing at 90. So things have got to change. It just that's the sociology component of how I see it. I got you. And we'll just have to differ on that, like we do on on a whole bunch of other things. And let me switch up real quick before we can get through all this. The debate tonight. What's your initial reaction on the debate?
Perfect segue into what we're talking about. If you think that these white men are going to give up their power, you got a whole nother thing coming. He rambled and stumbled and ran over Kamala Harris like she was a doormat. And he did that on purpose to try and make her look weak. Did she
Correct.
look weak? No, she did not.
Correct.
But do you think that they're going to just give up the power? No.
It's going to be taken from them. So those white men that you're describing, the white men with the mindset that you're describing, power is going to be taken from them. It's going to be taken from them. It's going to be taken from them in 27 days. There is no doubt in my mind tonight, when you start talking about half of the Americans that are under the age of 40, they gravitated towards Senator Harris and not towards Vice President Pence.
So let me ask you this question: the fact that tonight Pence was asked, not Donald Trump, if there'll be a peaceful removal of power,
and he never answered that question.
Well, let me finish talking. How did that make you feel when Donald Trump is not answering that question? And tonight, when that question was presented to Pence, he didn't answer the question. So, do you think that they're just gonna pack their stuff up and leave out of the White House?
Here's my disposition. I'm gonna pop me some popcorn, go get me some wild turkey and ginger ale or 7-Up, whatever. I'm gonna cut my TV on, cut my radio on, and watch the fireworks. Because that is not a fight that I'm gonna have to take on. Now I'm gonna have to deal with the results of it, but that's not a fight that I gotta take on. So I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna learn about it, and I'm gonna prepare myself to be able to respond to when all the dust settles, it's done. But right now, Donald Trump and Pence are not only fighting with black folks, they're not only fighting with Hispanics, they're not only fighting with all the other ethnic groups, they're fighting with the LGBT, they're fighting with women, they're fighting with men who don't, who are not rich. They're fighting with with a tremendous amount of the American society. And they have their loyal 30%, 35% who are Trumpers, but 35% is not going to get them elected. It's not going to get them reelected. If you listen to the debate tonight, Kamala Harris talked about what they would be doing. A Harris, a Pence, or a Biden-Harris ticket. This is what they would be doing. This is how things would change. What did Pence talk about? If you vote for Biden and Harris, this is what you're going to get. If you get Biden and Harris, this is how this is going to change. He don't even have confidence to talk about his accomplishments that they've done over the last 4 years. It's all about fear. They want society to fear what is the unknown. They want society to fear the big black bald dude. They want society to fear the illegal guy, the illegal guy coming across the southern border as being part of the drug cartels and those type of things. They want you to fear the welfare recipient, the mother, single mother who got 700 kids, who's on receiving public assistance. They want you to fear that. That fear stuff is not going to work on our current society. It's not going to work. There's not enough of them to believe that. And so tonight didn't do nothing to change my mindset. I don't think it did a lot to change anybody's mindset. People who are going to vote for Donald Trump and Pence are going to vote for Donald Trump and Pence. People who are going to vote for Biden and Harris are going to vote for Biden and Harris. And then there's going to be some folks in the middle. And right now, there are more people who are siding with Biden and Harris than there are with Pence and Trump. So I share that with you. Those are my own observations from just listening and watching, playing the political game. But there is a whole political move that's happening, and I think that tonight's debate showed that very, 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 very. It was very apparent to me, and I think it was very apparent to a lot of other people. You know, Trump people, you're not going to change them. The Biden people, you're not going to change them. So I hear you. Did you get your ballot?
Yep.
Okay, good. You need help? You need help filling it out? I'm offering. If you need help, I'll help. You know, whether it be
Do you need help filling yours out?
No, I don't. Actually, I'm gonna help. I help.
I'm offering.
I'm
offering. I can help you do it if you can't do it.
I can. So I'm good. The only thing that I'm getting a little bit of pushback, and I think I need to do some more homework, is on one of the propositions, the one that has to do with diabetes. Not with diabetes, but with dialysis. We got to do some more homework on that one. I don't remember if it's 22 or 23 or whatever that proposition is. So I'm getting some pushback from that. I'm getting not equal, but I'm getting information from both sides. Some of the patients are saying that you need to vote no on it. Doesn't need to happen. But when I go back and look at some of the organizations that I'm affiliated with, they're saying that yes, you need to have it. And so I need to go back in and do some more research on it. But the rest of them, I'm good. So it's interesting. The debate tonight was what I expected. I'm not watching no more debates. I'm not watching presidential debate number 2 nor 3. Ain't no need to. I don't need no more Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield moments in my political watching.
Yeah, it's troubling because I see us moving toward a fascist government, a civil war, an upheaval, all of the above.
When you say civil war, what do you mean by civil war?
People running out in the street shooting each other.
Okay.
That's what all the fear mongering gets you.
So
I don't think people are mentally prepared to actually experience that.
Okay, so you do. So you don't understand that the basis for the original Civil War in the United States.
Yeah. Wait, did you say I don't understand?
Well, I want to know if you understand that the premise for.
No. Did you say you don't understand?
I don't know if I said I don't know if I said that or not. Here's the premise for the original Civil War. Was it not always? It wasn't solely based on a difference of ideology. There was also states that seceded from the Union. So there was a clear line of demarcation about who was in the South and who was in the North. So when people use that term Civil War now, that we're going to have a Civil War in the United States, I'm trying to find out how are they defining who's going to be on side A and who's going to be on side B. Because there are going to be ain't no states going to be seceding. So it's going to be a difference of ideology. And so I ask people. That's the question I've been asking people when they talk about civil war.
Well, okay. Well, let me put it to you this way: a civil war amongst the races, because the white race is not going to want to relinquish their power and their power structure and base.
So you do know that there is a large number of white folks who are involved in Black Lives Matter movement. There's a
You
large.
do realize that the Civil War in 18 whatever it was, it wasn't a race war, a black against white. It was white against white.
But as I said, there was also land, geography that was
Right,
involved
a
in it also.
component of the states.
There was a clear line of demarcation. If you were north of that line, then you were on the north side. If you were south of that line, you were on the south side. So what are going to be the clear lines of demarcation if we have a civil war in 2021?
Your ideology.
That's not a clear line of demarcation.
Okay.
So I mean that's the question. That's why I understand why people are saying there's going to be a civil war, but I can't understand how that civil war is going to be defined. Because
so it's not a me problem. It's a you understanding problem.
Okay.
Because you don't think it's going to happen.
No, I'm not saying that there's not going to be people who are going to be shooting at each other.
Not going to happen. You don't think that it's a viable understanding that it could happen.
No, not a civil war. No.
Okay.
I can understand that there's going to be some skirmishes.
And that would be a civil war, as you stated, based on a geographical north versus south.
So so by your definition of ideology, we already have a civil war going on if you take the Black Lives Matter. In Portland, in Los Angeles, in, I don't know what the other, Kenosha, and some of these other, Charlottesville, some of these other municipalities that we've had that ideology separation. Those skirmishes have already happened. So skirmishes based on ideology, not on geography.
Well, let me ask you this question too, because you've thrown Black Lives Matter out there a couple different times. Do you think the Black Lives Matter movement is a conflictual, where they're out there going to start conflicts with people of different ideologies?
Yes.
And conflicts, yes. Physical conflicts?
Or mental conflicts? There is a conflict of ideology.
Okay, so you can go out and peacefully protest and walk through the streets and do that as Black Lives Matter do, and then go home after your rally, and that would be because that's how I look at Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter are not out there shooting people and running over people and doing those types of things. They are trying to do what a non-violent protest. They're out there protesting.
Agreed. But what we're saying is that in this civil war that you talked about, it's going to be a civil war of ideologies. That is the most prevalent separation of ideology that we have going on right now. We have Black Lives Matter.
Well, actually, now you have the right. Is it right wing?
Conservative and liberals.
Okay, fighting against the anti-fascists. Is a bigger ideology, because what I've been saying is Black people don't have a dog in the fight. You know, they might have a picture on the wall, but they don't actually have a dog in the fight. And what you said earlier is, we need to go home and watch the folks that are struggling for this new world to fight it out. That's where your civil war is going to be a physical confrontation. But we've been in a civil war since the Millers killed them people in Las Vegas. They weren't Black. Those are police officers in Las Vegas. They weren't Black.
I don't know anything about that. But I agree that we've been in a civil war of ideologies for a long time. This is not
since we were brought over here. As Black people, since we were brought over here. It's not our fight.
No, I wasn't going back that far. I'm talking about the last, since Obama won the presidency. That is the most recent civil war that we've had as far as ideology. And what was the group, the conservative group? They no longer exist now. God, I can't remember their names. It was a conservative group that everybody was a part of that was against Obama, and it's died out now. I can't even remember what it's called now. But there was a faction of conservatism that wanted to get rid of Obama, not because he was a bad dude, but because of who he was. Tea Party, the Tea Partiers. What happened to the Tea Party? You don't hear nobody talking about that they're part of the Tea Party any longer. So that was a group that was an anti group based on philosophy. Okay, I believe that there is going to be that same that is going on right now with Donald Trump. He can't the Trumpers cannot exist in the America that we have now, and that the America that is to be. People with Donald Trump's mentality cannot exist in this country. And right now, unfortunately, they're in power, so we got to deal with them while they're in power. But he getting ready to lose. There's no doubt in my mind that in 27 days from now, he is going to lose his power. And when he loses his power, those people who have the Trump mentality are going to be pushed back into the shadows. They're not going to disappear because they're Americans, just like we are, but they are no longer going to have the bloody pulpit to be able to spew their separations and their negativities from. I just fully believe that. Given all the evidence that's out there and given what I have in my gut. We got 27 more days to officially deal with this. And then we got about 20-something days to deal with him, the Trumpers, until he gets removed out of office, whatever that takes. And then it's going to be a year or two a year, people throwing knives from out the bushes and all that kind of the Trumpers, and then it'll settle back down. The next civil wars we're going to have is going to be based in ageism. It's going to be between the baby boomers and the millennials. That I believe that's going to be the next civil war the United States have as far as ideology. I got you. So I don't see people in every city, in every state in America out in the streets shooting guns at each other. I don't see that. Because how do you identify who's on what side? Nobody's wearing reds and blues. You know, how do you know? It's hard to do that. So that's what I believe. So next question about you. I asked you if you got your ballot. You said yeah. Everybody in California should have gotten their ballot this week. If you do not have your ballot by October 12th, which I believe is Monday, then you need to call or contact your local county elections office so that you can find out where your ballot was sent, because it's going to be sent somewhere if you're a registered voter. And there's not a whole bunch of candidates that's on, at least in Fresno, there's not a whole bunch of people. There's only one, the president, House of Representatives, State Representative, and myself. There's only four races that's on my ballot, 4 people to vote for on my ballot. There's a bunch of propositions, but my ballot is not heavily full of people to vote for. I think some of the other ballots may have 5 or 6 people to vote for, but there's not a whole bunch of candidates, a lot of people to vote for. There's a lot of propositions that people have an opportunity to vote on, but it's just a little bit different. So, are you registered here in Fresno, or are you registered in Madera?
In Madera.
Okay, so I don't know what the what things are like in Madera County. I do know that you guys got a mayor's race. There's a couple city council races. There's 5 African Americans running for seats here in Fresno County. That's not true. That's not true. Not in Fresno County. In Fresno and Clovis, there are 5 African Americans. In Madera, I do know that there's a couple of African Americans that are running in Madera for city council. I know there's a sister running for Dos Palos. Actually, Merced. That's Merced County. That's not Madera County. That's Merced County. There's a brother and a sister that's running. One brother's running for city council. Sister running for a school board out in Dos Palos. Everybody, all the black folks that are running here in Fresno Clovis are all running for school board positions. There's some African Americans that are running down in Tulare and Visalia. So it's kind of a spattered sprinkling of African American candidates throughout the Central Valley, Madera, Merced, Fresno, Kings, and Tulare counties. I don't know what's going on in Kerner. So do your homework. Do your homework. Look at the information that your county office of elections has sent you, so you can find out who the candidates are. You can find out what the propositions are on there, so that you can make an informed choice. So, what's the question mark on your face about?
I'm just blown away
By
the naivete that's rolling across the screen.
The naivety of what?
Of your philosophies on and understandings. I wish that the world were all cookies and cream and niceties.
So what part specifically?
No. You have your own perspective. I'm just.
You're right. What perspective?
I'm just like blown away.
So you believe that there's going to be people fighting and shooting each other?
It doesn't even matter what I believe.
Well, I'm asking so that I know. Since you obviously you don't agree, what part of it is that you don't specifically agree with, and then what is your disagreement? You said I'm naive to some things. What am I naive to? No response?
None.
Okay.
So what did you do today?
Huh?
What did you do today?
I talked to our mother who is recuperating. Please keep our mother in your prayers. She's going through, as of Friday, she'll be a double amputee with her legs, complications from her diabetes and her lung disease. So please keep her in your prayers. I was dealing with her on the phone this morning. Went and dealt with Dad a little bit today, just to make sure he understood what was going on, kind of what the plan is of Mom moving forward. Ate lunch with him. Did some political stuff down at the Democratic office to get some door hangers and some stuff for the campaign. This evening, I just got off of a Zoom. Hosted with my fraternity brothers. We hosted a debate watch party. So we live streamed the VP debate. We did that last week with the presidential debate as well, and had a kind of a, not necessarily a question and answer, but we had responses, kind of talked about it at the end, had a discussion at the end about it. So just, stuff.
I was listening. Have you been keeping up with this debacle that is public education?
No.
Meaning, have you heard about the absences of students that have just disappeared off the rolls of all these large school districts?
No, but I mean,
I think it was LA County that says that there's 11,000 kids that have just disappeared.
Okay, so 11,000 kids, and I want to say LA Unified's overall enrollment is like 900,000. So 11,000 kids sounds like a big number for us. When you look at the overall scheme of what goes on with LA Unified, it's not a big number.
I would love to see the numbers of people here in Fresno who have just, and then it's the grades are coming out. That's what's going to be, I think, the real teller of all tales. Because I know it was a mad scramble around here. because things were missing, because Zooms fail, and it's just yeah, this is going to be a real tale.
So what I'm hoping with public education, what they will do is go to a mastery grading system and not get hung up in these grades. And so what I mean by that is if a third grader is supposed to know his addition up to the double digits, you know, that he can show mastery of addition and subtraction up to double digits. And then you give them, you master them, you give them a check that they mastered it, or you give them a check that they didn't master it, and not get hung up on that if a kid gets 90% on a test, or he's done 90% of his work, or 80%. That's the part that, and another opportunity in public education that I believe that we should change. We need to go to whatever the grade level mastery is, or grade level proficiency is. That's what we need to base either they made it or they didn't make it off of. The problem with that, though, is when you get into high school, the universities and colleges want you to have GPAs, and you can't really, our system, you can't have GPAs generated off of mastery and non-mastery. And so there's a whole.
So I'm gonna ask you one of them abstract questions that you be asking me. So how do you change it? How do you make that what you've explained fit to a true functionality?
Recognize it first. Secondly, you've got to get people, superintendents of school districts, secretary, or the superintendent of schools at the state level, your county superintendents, to all be on the same page, or moving on to the same page, that we need to get away from these grades. The other side of it is that you got to go to.
Is there the first part? Is there even a movement in that direction?
Yeah, but it's at the elementary school level. Elementary districts do mastery, but at the high school they can't do that because.
Okay, no, this is the first time I'm hearing it. That's why I asked if there was even a movement. Now, so you said you were gonna move to a second. That was one, and second was.
So you got to get the colleges to also agree to get out of the GPA business and to get into the mastery level business. And you know, here's a comparison. So the Ivy League here in the United States is the cream de la cream. So if you get to the Ivy League schools, the Harvards, Princetons, all that kind of stuff, you're at the top of the hierarchy as far as academics. Those schools, I think the biggest Ivy League school, I want to say, is like 6,000 students, 8,000 students. So there's a very, very, very small number of kids relatively that get in those schools. Conversely, the best schools in Canada, the best colleges in Canada, have the largest enrollment. There's 60,000 kids at the University of Toronto, and there's in Vancouver, I think it's Vancouver, is that what the state is called, on the west side of Canada. There's another colleges over there that's got like 50,000 students in it. And they're the two top universities in Canada. Why do we have to have our best universities and colleges with the lowest number of students? It's all about
because education is not about educating kids anymore. It's about the economics of people having jobs and trying to pay for their Mercedes and their houses and their cars.
I'll even take you back to what your term. It's about white supremacy. It's about what do you call it? Racism, white supremacy. That is what our higher education system is grounded in. There is no reason for a Harvard to only have 5,000 students if it's the best. They should have the most. And a university like Fresno State, who is not on that level necessarily, and who's got 25,000, why wouldn't you want the highest number of your kids to go to your best universities? So our system, the way our structure is grounded in racism and white supremacy, that there's got to be a demarcation, there's got to be a separation, and that philosophy hopefully is going to be changing here pretty quickly. So that's one of the other things I think that needs to happen with our higher education. That's got to happen at the higher education level. We've got to get to a mastery type of grading system with our K-12s, and then we may be able to match it and mix it in the middle. But our systems right now, our K-16 system is misaligned with each other. So,
But remember, it's working for someone. That's the reason it's in the position that it's in, and that's why it won't change.
agreed. The money is not in the cure. The money is in the disease. So as long as kids are not reading and doing math calculations on grade level, there's a ton of money in there for supplemental resources, supplemental publications, special ed, and all the other type of things. If we could if every kid in public education was reading on grade level, we would not have we would be able to cut out a whole industry. The prison industrial complex would be impacted by that, because kids now are reading and doing what they're supposed to do. They're able to match into society. They're not into the criminality. So all that's our society. I agree with you earlier, what you said about our society is set up to sustain itself. All the negativity that we have in our society is there for a purpose. Is there for a reason.
And yeah, I agree. And the purpose is so that the people like the Donald Trumps, the corporations. You think we're in trouble now with corporations? You let them put this broad on there and on the Supreme Court, and corporations. Until something happens, like tragic car accidents, bomb blowing up, buildings falling, earthquakes happening, the United States will be in trouble for the next 40 years.
Okay.
40 years. Because anytime you come up against something, be it Roe v. Wade, be it this, that, or the other, be it separate but equal, be it whatever, it's got to go through the Supreme Court.
No, it doesn't. It has to go through the laws of the land are created in the House of Representatives and signed off. Anything that has to do with money, then it's signed off with the Senate. So the House of Representatives can actually make laws that don't have to go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is they're there.
So what happens when you make a law and someone doesn't like the law, such as affirmative action?
Correct.
Right.
Which is coming back to California, by the way. Prop 16.
It goes up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, "Yep, no more."
So then the Congress. So then the House of Representatives makes a law that says that affirmative action is the law of the whole United States.
And the Supreme Court strikes that law down being unconstitutional. Yeah.
Well, they can say it's unconstitutional. You're right. They can say it's unconstitutional, but there are some other things that the House of Representatives can put in place where it never gets to the Supreme Court. So I hear what you're saying. But yeah, our system needs a recalibration. Anyway, we're over our time right now. I keep seeing KP poke his head in there. What's your last parting words?
How did he say it last week? Stand up and stand by.
Yeah, okay. You're on the wrong side with that one. Black Proud Boy. Anyway, hey, make sure that you guys are voting. Everybody in California should have their ballots in their mailboxes and their houses this week. If you do not have your ballot in hand by this upcoming Monday, which is October 12th, you need to contact your local county office of elections to find out exactly where your ballot was sent. Okay. Please make sure you're doing your homework on the candidates that are in your area, as well as the propositions. Yes, on 15, 16, 17, and 18. We can discuss the rest of them, but yes, on 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay? We can have all the debate you want to, but I'm not changing my opinion on that one. And so with that, anything else, G? Okay. Peace out. We will see you guys again, God willing, next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. You guys will get a chance to see and listen to In Touch with the Miller Boys. Good night.